On the Common Link Theory, CLT, by Fahad Alhomoudi, Mcgill University, 2006. The fourth case of Al-Muntakhab, narrated by Ibn al-Miqari, from Ibn Qutayba, from Ayyub ibn Salih, from Malik, from Zuhri, from Sa'id ibn Musayyib, from Abu Hurairah, reports that the Prophet said, "If one leads people in prayer, he should shorten it, because among them are the weak, sick, and elderly, and if one prays by himself, he can pray for as long as he wishes." The matan of this hadith is widely reported in various hadith collections by different transmitters, who narrate this hadith from Malik, from Abu Zinad, from A'raj, from Abu Hurairah, from the Prophet. Among those transmitters, Yahya al-Laythi, Abu Mus'ab al-Zuhri, Suwayd ibn Sa'id ibn al-Qasim, al-Qa'nabi, ibn Bukayr, Muhammad ibn Hassan, all of them included this in the different editions of Al-Muwatta. Additionally, Al-Bukhari in his Sahih, Abu Dawood in his Sunan, and Nasa'i in his Sunan, Ibn Hanbal in his Musnad, Abu Awana in his Musnad, and Bayhaqi in his Sunan have transmitted it via Malik from Abu Zinad. Those numerous transmissions confirm that the matan of this hadith is well known. It is the isnad via Malik from Zuhri, in contrary to Malik from Abu Zinad, that considered it by muhaddiths as gharib. The fifth case represents the third kind of fard nisbi, which is the hadith transmitted from one city to another. Ibn al-Miqari narrated from Hassan ibn Ahmed, from Ishaq ibn Musa, from Ma'an, from Malik, from Abdullah ibn Idris, from Shu'bah, from Sa'ad ibn Ibrahim, from his father Ibrahim, that Umar ibn al-Khattab condemned three companions, Ibn Mas'ud, Abu Darda, and Abu Mas'ud, for their excessive narrations from the Prophet. In regard to both matan and isnad, this hadith is sound, yet it is considered gharib. The uniqueness lies in the isnad because it is the only isnad that Malik, the Imam of Medina, narrated from a Kufan transmitter, Abdullah ibn Idris. Moreover, Abdullah ibn Idris is the only Kufan transmitter who followed Malik's madhab, especially his opinion on prohibiting wine, nabith, which was the reason for Malik's avoidance of narrating hadiths from Kufan transmitters. Criticizing Schacht's interpretation of the common link phenomenon. Having now discussed the complexity of issues related to the CLT, we can go on to see why Schacht encountered difficulties in presenting a logical interpretation of the phenomenon. Turning now to Schacht's theory, we will be able to determine the inaccuracies from his proposed explanation. In his own words, Schacht describes the common link theory thus: 1. The tradition is normally taken over by one or several transmitters. 2. The lower or latter transmitter, which is the real part of the isnad, branches out into several strands. 3. The original transmitter, who is the promoter of an isnad, provides his tradition with an isnad that can be traced back to an authority. 3. The authority is a companion or the Prophet. In other words, if a tradition has a common link or at the companion level, then this tradition is excluded from the theory. 5. The higher or earlier part of an isnad often acquires additional branches due to improvements made to it, and these branches take their place alongside the original chain of transmitters. 6. The transmitter is called the common link will remain the lowest in the several strands of an isnad, or at least in most of the strands, allowing him to be bypassed and eliminated in additional strands of a isnad that may have been introduced later. 7. The existence of a significant common link in all or most isnads of a given tradition strongly indicates that the isnad originated at the time of the common link transmission. 8. The same conclusion must be drawn when isnads of different but closely connected traditions show a common link. This point is based on premise 6. While the common link transmitter remains the common link, he could be eliminated in some isnads developed later. The first 4 premises describe the development of the isnads, and the 5th premise serves to introduce the 6th, which contains the crux of Schacht's theory, i.e. that the transmitter referred to as the common link will remain the lowest in the several strands of an isnad. It is this 6th premise of the CLT which causes the theory to entirely break down. Premise 6 makes it clear that Schacht misunderstood the concept of tafarrud, which can be demonstrated from an analysis of the related terms that have been described above. In developing his CLT, Schacht merged the various distinct types of fard. Schacht doesn't even employ the terms mutlaq and nisbi within his conception of fard, not to mention other subcategories used by traditions, e.g. shadh, munkar, wihdan, etc. Schacht failed to also distinguish between wihdan and fard hadith, instead claiming they were both rejected by traditionists because the only traditionist he was taking into account was Shafi'i. He erroneously assumed that all types of fard were considered by muhaddiths to be equally authentic. Obviously, he combined the fard nisbi with the fard mutlaq, proclaiming, for example, that muhaddiths accepted both types of fard equally, which certainly is not the case, as I have shown above. Thus, the CLT rests on a flawed understanding, an understanding that does not bother to take into account the different types of fard. Schacht's definition of the term gharib, for instance, was associated with isnads in general, as opposed to one particular type of fard. Although Schacht was accurate in some of his origins, such as definitions of legal terms related to fiqh, and many quotations he cited from legal sources, he was inaccurate in his approach to hadith, and did not produce a comprehensive picture of the origins of Islamic law. Thus, he failed to arrange the different pieces of this puzzle properly. The four primary reasons for Schacht's failure to provide an acceptable theory are as follows. Stay tuned for many more parts.